And we're live. Hello and welcome. And we're live to the 117th episode of Hex Therapy Live. I'm your host, Maddie ALLin. Got a great show for you tonight. It's going to be a brief one, but I am on the road. My flight got delayed, so I'm getting to spend some time with family. So I changed the title of this episode to Live from Salt Lake City ? And in fact, I'll still be going there tomorrow. And so we'll still be able to have a meetup here. And you can find the details of that on Twitter, on HexRayVision's Twitter profile. So that's really exciting. But other than that, I just want to keep bringing you the consistent story behind Hex and behind all the amazing things that are happening in the community. I appreciate you for being here. So hit the like and subscribe button, and let's get started.
It's from Maddie ALLin of HexTherapy.live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research.
Big videos on sudden wealth syndrome.
There's nothing that a human being can do better than try and heal his fellow man.
Maddie ALLin's got that covered. He does emotional, feel-good, mind management, emotion stuff, like, as his gig, because he's a therapist. That's what he does for a living. Like, he helps heal people.
Now, the big meetup that we're doing is going to be in Miami Beach at the Bitcoin conference. I'm hosting the second Mass Hex meetup, and that'll be May 18th to 20th. You can find out more in the linked or the pinned comment here is hexpomiami.com to get your ticket for that. So that'll be the big meetup that I'm planning for the year. And then, as I said in the intro, I'll be doing a smaller meetup here in Salt Lake City coming up this weekend. So check out HexRayVision's Twitter to find out more about that. Yeah, delayed flights. What can you do? Cheers, everyone. Good to see you there. Good to see you, Jerry. Detached Soul, Captain Hoddle Baggins. Good to see everybody. Hexakin Lost in Asia. Joey, good to see everybody. So hit the like and subscribe button as usual. I want to go back to something that I discovered this week because I think it's really important for everybody to know. There has been a voice chat that's been going on for the past 13 months straight. I previously thought that the world record for a continuous crypto voice chat was held by Accept Cookies, aka Hex Orca, and that his world record was like 3 to 4 days of continuous streaming. But it turns out that I've discovered this new group of Hexicans who literally have a voice chat going 24/7. They have earned the trust of the community, as far as I can tell, and it's been a blast. There have been a bunch of YouTubers who have collided into this world of Hexicans who've been listening and educating themselves and frankly providing customer service to everybody else in the crypto space when it comes to Hex. And so you can go on Twitter to Hex All Day and you can find the Twitter spaces that they're hosting. I popped in there earlier today and talked to Tangent and Accept Cookies, Funding Gym, and a number of other people have been popping up in there and just making excellent content. And so, it's got to be super informative if I'm glued to it as usual. So yeah, that's something to check out. I'm going to start linking it in my streams normally, I think, so that people can definitely check that out, because that's a hidden resource in the community that not many people know about. Again, the Twitter handle is Hex All Day. What's going on, Todd? Get Hex. Good to see you all here. So yeah, that's the idea there. I learned a lot from Tangent this morning. We we're talking a lot about how Hex compares to Bitcoin and what we've learned, whether we're talking layer 0. What does layer 0 mean? Everybody's familiar with layer 1 blockchain technology because that's your Bitcoin, your Ethereum. Pulse chain falls under the layer 1 classification. But what does it mean to have a layer 0? Well, it turns out that there are lots of different definitions of that. And of course, as a self-proclaimed crypto psychologist, I find it fascinating when we define the layer 0 of crypto as the social consensus layer. And so the social consensus layer, that's part of what tells us which crypto is which whenever you have a fork. So for example, Bitcoin, it had a fork where you had Bitcoin Core on one side and you had Bitcoin Cash on the other. And that led to a splitting of the community and a creation of two things out of one. And of course, we know that that's what's going to happen with Pulse Chain here pretty soon, is that there's going to be this, this situation that's never before happened in the history of crypto, where there's a complete system state copied over with a working DEX and all the other bells and whistles that Richard Hart is putting together. And so that's really exciting. Somebody's saying that that they change the title often, but it's the best space depending on the hosts or co-hosts. Yeah, I've really been impressed when I've popped in there. There have been just really heavy hitters and constant information flying around. And it's also, I find myself cracking up. Like it's really funny sometimes to be with so many different personalities in the Twitter spaces. I was also thinking sometime I need to do a cross stream with them and have them on here to my channel, because that'll be really exciting to show you all what it's all about to be in a continuous voice chat for 13 months. I'm really impressed by that. So definitely check that out. I mean, we even had Jim Rat Crypto in there. Who else? There have just been so many names, and part of the time I was driving. It's really entertaining to be able to pop in there and listen when you're driving or doing other activities. Mark Anderson, thank you, Maddie. I appreciate all that you do. Hey, my pleasure. So let's see, what else do we do on Thursdays? We update on the product I'm building, Time Pays Me. The development of that seems to be going really well. We're overcoming a potential user error that we discovered people could be doing when we were testing the private testnet. And so we're fixing that. And I'm really excited that the front end is coming along really well. So that's really exciting, because to be able to time lock your Pulse Chain coins, see, Pulse Chain is called a coin, and everything that's built on top of it is called a token. That's the same thing as with Ethereum. You have your ETH coins, and then everything built on top of it is a token. So that's the right nomenclature there. But you'll be able to time lock with Time Pays Me your Pulse Chain coins and your Pulse X tokens and anything else that has been copied over with the entire system state of Ethereum. And then the smart contract will also work on Ethereum, because Pulse Chain is cross-compatible. And so for me, I will probably time lock some Ethereum for 50 years or whatever the max is. Not going to lock all of it that long, but got to see what it can do. And here's another random development that's kind of in the weird news category. It looks like the people who are, maybe not the people who are running the Go Early testnet, or some pronounce it Girly testnet, or Go Early. lots of different definitions out there. I've had some debates about that, but I saw an article just the other day where people are bridging real value into their test Ethereum coins. And so that just seemed wild to me. But I was like, well, yeah, as a developer, I think I would actually pay 10 cents per fake Ethereum just so I could do better demos. You know, I would be willing to put down $20 and get, you know, a ton of fake Ethereum so that I don't have to go and click the faucet every day. That would be really great. But anyway, that's not going to relate to most people when it comes to, you know, not many people are using the Ethereum testnet these days. But some of you may be using the Pulse Chain testnet, or you should be. You should be practicing your moves on there, and so there is a faucet there where I believe you can get 10 Pulse coins. Almost got me there. You can get 10 Pulse coins each day to test with, and that's all you really need because the fees are so low. You can swap it for the incentive token. You can swap it for PulseX and Pulse Chain. There are a number of tokens there that they have on the testnet that you can play with, and that'll give you a great sense of what's going on when you follow your transactions on the Block Explorer and use the PulseX decentralized exchange to swap your tokens. And this is all working right now at pulsechain.com. And remember, not a whole lot is going to change on the front end whenever testnet v3 is released. And I also believe not that much is going to change when mainnet goes live for Pulse Chain. The front end seems, and I'm not just talking about Time Pays Me, I'm talking about Pulse Chain in general. The front end is probably pretty close to what it's going to be, and it's looking good. So that's really exciting to see. Yeah, you can bridge either way. That's right. It's hard on MetaMask to play with testnet. Anywhere else nice to practice? I'm not sure why you'd be having trouble with that. It should be working just fine. Maybe if you create a new profile and maybe if you're using the most recent up-to-date testnet, then you might not have a problem. But yeah, also using Chrome is recommended, I think, in general. Using another browser, you gotta be careful. I think Richard had said something against Brave browser once upon a time, but you guys can go to HexTherapy.live and you can look up and see what he said about that, because that's a really good resource. And speaking of which, the developer who wrote HexTherapy.live is working on Time Pays Me. So full circle there. Let's see. So I'm really looking forward to making it to Salt Lake City to hang out with some Hexicans there. Hexray Vision is going to be one of my main points of contact. So definitely check out his Twitter. And I'm sure out of all of the Hexicans that I know in Salt Lake City, we might end up doing a live stream, some or all of us. So that'll be really cool. Because you can't beat lots of Hexicans getting together and having a good live stream. And speaking of which, Brissology on Saturday is going to be doing a meetup in California. So we might have to stream both of those meetups at the same time. Other than that, you know, what else has been going on? It's been kind of, well, I think it's been kind of a slow news day in terms of what's been going on in the Hex ecosystem. I know the last 4 or 5 shows I've done were off the charts in the number of people who were watching them. And as you'll find with my streams, I don't usually use a lot of clickbait. Like if I have a amazing topic, you're going to know it from the thumbnail. You're going to know it from the title. If I don't have an amazing topic, if I haven't made some brilliant breakthrough to educate you about, it's going to be more like this, where I'm just honest with you in the title. Am I even live in Salt Lake City? ? You know, but let's just review. I mean, if you've been living under a rock, we discovered just last week on the show that the God whale has more T shares than the origin address. That was a crazy breakthrough. I would also like to point out that even more people have been telling me this week that Game Theory Gang was like the best episode that they've seen ever or in a really long time this past week. And so definitely check that out. That show keeps getting better and better. And we did a 3-hour live stream just 2 days ago that people have really been appreciating. And the only thing out of all 3 hours, it really bugs me whenever there's one thing that's said incorrectly. And the one thing that I presented that was incorrect, that stands to be corrected, is also having to do with the God whale. And I suggested that it was not the God whale who had taken Hex out of Travon's Travon's game that was built on top of Hex. And that's when we got the 12 Hex per T share payout just 3 or 4 days ago. So I still haven't done the full chain analysis. I traced the huge emergency end stake back to Travon's game. But I may have incorrectly reported that it was not the God whale whose stake that was. And a lot of people are saying that it was. And so that's a minor correction. But other than that, yeah, I mean, usually if you follow every live stream that I do on here, you know every single thing that I've learned in Hex. Like this is basically a full record of all the latest news. Is Binance dead based on what Coinbase has said? The mainstream crypto news is usually wrong. I mean, I pay attention to it as little as I can, but haven't seen it. So Captain Hodl Baggins, you can reach out to Brissology and find out where exactly his meetup is going to be. Yeah, so I can't really say where it is, but another place to look is t.me/hex meetup. That's a Telegram channel that I maintain, and I just kind of let people post in there what meetups they're having. Hey, Charles Stark, thank you for the $10 super chat. You rock. Hi from Japan. Maddie, honestly, do you believe in Axis Alive's moon math to get Hex to $12 possibly by 2025? Man, that was hard to believe. Your thoughts? Cheers. This is a great question. What can Hex do? I think it's highly likely that Hex could have another huge run. I don't know when it will be. What I like to really point out is crypto hasn't ever really existed during a major, broader economic meltdown. Crypto was invented with Bitcoin in response to the problems that occurred in the banking sector after 2008, 2009. And pretty much the US stock market had a bull run all of the years since then, except for maybe 2022. So I think that crypto will go up as long as they keep printing more money. And I think that them printing money, it never goes out of style. So whether you like that or hate that, I think if they do turn off the money printer, I think crypto goes down, because it's such a risk on asset. Now, I would love to believe the narrative that crypto can hold its own and it can do better than everything else during a broader economic meltdown, but I'm not so sure about it. So really, when you ask me, can Hex do new all-time highs? I really have to embed that answer in the fact that I don't know if the dollar can do all-time lows, if you know what I mean. So I'm not talking about other currencies, but I'm talking about the other side of the trade on crypto. I think that, in the short term, maybe there's a strong dollar. I think crypto is still going to be a super volatile place. Now, so I think if the money printer stays on as it normally has in history, I think if the Hex community continues to be so strong and doesn't get a major ban hammer from the government or something that would be more unexpected, I think Hex could really run compared to other cryptos, and I think crypto could really run compared to fiat. Now, what would it take for a $12 Hex, you might ask? So I've already pointed out that Hex Hex could also theoretically do a new all-time low. I mean, if the God will chose to wake up one day and just ruin their own net worth when it comes to Hex, if they wanted to kill their best performing asset of all time, that that's something that they could do that I don't have any control over, and really I wouldn't predict it, but it certainly is possible. How would you get, though, a $12 Hex? The way that you would get a $12 Hex is that you would get Hex running up, doing a 10x, and then dropping 90%, and then doing a 10x, and then dropping 90%, and then doing a 10x and dropping 90%. And that's how you get it, because you would have to shake out everybody on the upside volatility and the downside volatility. That's what you would have to do. So like everybody who would be in literal disbelief at $1 Hex, like maybe you shake out all of those people who are willing to sell at any price, and then you have a severely restricted supply. I mean, we didn't ever think that Hex could get to a penny. And I know people have said that, but like, let me drive that home for you. When I say that we didn't think Hex could ever get to a penny, like, I wasn't a YouTuber when Hex started, and I made a spreadsheet of how high I thought Hex could go. And a penny wasn't on the spreadsheet. It wasn't even there, because I didn't believe that Hex could do 1000x. I had never seen that before personally in crypto, even though I had seen a 10x before, and I had seen maybe close to 100x. I really didn't think that was possible. So if you take everybody who gets to the point where they've had enough and they just want to sell, if you shake out everybody who sells at $1 and everybody who sells at a penny, then maybe you have a chance to go all the way up to somewhere super, super, super high. So, and remember, if you're valuing Hex at $10 per coin, then I would thank you for the 1 Hex donation, but really $10 rocks. Thank you. And we talked about that on Game Theory Gang this last week about what it means psychologically to value Hex at $1. And I would expect a lot of resistance at that price, just like we saw a lot of resistance at 55 cents, because that was the 10,000x. Now, the reason some people are saying Hex could be in the tens of dollars range, like in the future ever, is because you're going to eventually have a divergence between people who are locking up more and more Hex in order to get T-shares, and then people who are, buying and selling, basically trading in the short term, and maybe that trading gets exhausted. If you look at what it would take to get a 10,000x, which was the original design intention that wasn't ever guaranteed. But if you look at the original 10,000X, and you don't calculate it from the all-time low of 0.00005, if you calculated it from the day one price of Hex, which was about a third of a penny, is 0.003, a 10,000X on 0.003 would be $30 per Hex. Now, if you factored in staking, if you let staking be part of the equation, interestingly enough, you would probably get something like $10 to $15 Hex. Well, you'd probably get like $5 to $12 Hex. But we could, how you would actually calculate that, because I really don't even want to say the number, because it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then we get like massive resistance at that level, like we saw this last blow off top on Hex was exactly at the 10,000X mark, up from the all-time low. But the way you would do that today is you would go on HexFire.io, you would look up what the future T-share rate is going to be in 2025, and then you take that number and you would divide it by 10,000, because that's what the T-share rate started at, and that's actually a reverse way to calculate the amount of ROI in Hex terms that you've gotten. See, when Hex went from 10,000 Hex per T-share to 20,000, that's how you could calculate that you would have gotten twice the gains if you had staked. Richard will sometimes compare like how Hex did a 1 million% return without staking, and with staking it was closer to 2 million%, or 20,000X. So if you're following me there, that's how I would take a shortcut to have a really easy way to calculate what a 10,000X would be from the starting price of Hex with staking, right? Because without staking, it's going to be a higher dollar value per Hex, because you're not having as high, you're not accounting for as much APY. So, I mean, maybe someday I'll have a whiteboard and I can draw it out for you, for all of you who are more visually oriented, but I'm 100% certain on the math there. What's up from Boston? Good to see you there. If BTC is the new gold, preserved economic buying value, then as fiat weakens, then crypto, at least BTC, strengthens. That reminds me of something I asked today in the Twitter Spaces. I asked Tangent if he thought that there would ever come a day where Hex has the same pattern that Bitcoin has, where there's like alt season, and then there's like then you go back to Bitcoin. And it's curious. I mean, nobody had an answer, of course, but it was a good example of thinking in more of the long-term, broader patterns, because considering like altcoin season, that's something that usually goes on for half a year to a year and a half, or maybe you get it twice per Bitcoin cycle. But it's just another way to understand the cyclical nature of crypto. And that's what I've also told family and friends that I catch up with, like the crypto market, it's not going away, and it's something that certainly is cyclical. So it really has serious ups and downs to it that go in about 2 to 4 year cycles. The upcoming war will determine the strength of the dollar. I think the dollar is probably pretty strong compared to other fiat currencies. Just left the BitBoy book tour meetup in Philly. He confirmed Hex will be added to his portfolio. One of 2 coins, bullish. Hey, Dan, that's great. You were telling us that you were going to go to his book tour. And so I'm proud of you for taking that step. And thanks for representing the community in that way. That's really cool. You know, everybody just heard it here first that, that Dan Best looks like he onboarded BitBoy in person at the BitBoy book tour. Well done. Pack your hex. That's right. BitBoy can't say it publicly yet. Probably still adding. Hey, not bad. You know, if you look at all of the liquidity that's there right now, even USDC liquidity, you know, I was really studying this right before I went live because I was thinking about it. I was like, well, how much liquidity is there? How much are people basically buying in from the sidelines? When they don't want to move the price against themselves, they can add USDC to a one-sided liquidity trade and then, you know, fill up their bag on Hex without moving the price and while benefiting from trading fees. And so, you know, I looked there, and back when we were at the most recent low of 1.7 cents, there was around only $1 million of USDC liquidity in the Uniswap pool. And I'm going off of HexDailyStats.com as our proxy for actually going to the Uniswap and looking in the V2 liquidity pool and looking in the V3 liquidity pool. But today there's about $6 million worth of liquidity. And I was looking back, and I was trying to paint a picture between it seemed like, roughly speaking, that usually when about $1 million more of USDC liquidity was there, the price of Hex went up about a penny or went down about a penny. And that was a really rough guideline. It wasn't a perfect correlation, and I was just kind of doing it in my head as I scrolled through the data, but definitely something to look into. Fed can't increase rates high enough to counter the eventual decrease in the use of the petrodollar. Well, could be. There were other hexagons there. That's cool. That's really good to hear. I think there are a lot of people being onboarded these days, and definitely the best you can do when it comes to Hex for some people is going to be time locking, and that has the benefit of protecting yourself from yourself, but it also has the benefit of earning trustless yield. So how do you like that? Well, great. I wanted to go live here to keep my streak going because I've been streaming every Thursday night for 117 weeks. I appreciate you all being here, and I'm glad you can make it tonight. We were almost at the usual time, about half an hour late tonight. And I see a few people just joining in now, so definitely hit the rewind button after you hit the like and subscribe, and leave me a comment afterwards. I've been enjoying people's comments that they leave, and you know, tell me what you are interested in learning about in the future. Tell me what's been helpful for me to point out so far, and yeah, that you know, as the community continues to grow and as Hex awareness and adoption grows, there will be more and more people popping up who can participate in online conferences and cross collaboration streams. And did I mention that there's a Hex voice chat that's been going for 13 months straight? So everybody head over to twitter.com/hexallday and tell them I sent you. Let's go raid the Twitter stream there while we're at it. I don't know, maybe if you're not going to be a speaker, then it's going to be hard for you to tell them that I sent you, but maybe you can give them a bunch of thumbs up one after another on Twitter Spaces, and then then they'll know something's up at least. Hex All Day is the account that's been hosting that. all day. So go check that out. Let's raid the Telegram, or sorry, not the Telegram, the Twitter voice chat. And until next time, stake wisely, my friends, and peace
From
out.
Maddie ALLin of HexTherapy.live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research.
Big videos on sudden wealth syndrome.
There's nothing that a human being can do better than try and heal his fellow man.
Maddie ALLin's got that covered. He does emotional, feel-good, mind management, emotion stuff, like, as his gig, because he's a therapist. That's what he does for a living. Like, he helps heal people.